with Shawn Belle. Really great to hear an athlete and a hockey player rediscovering his passion for the game, because when you're a pro, semi-pro player and you go through the grind with the aspirations of getting into the NHL, it can be really a big grind. So and you can kind of lose your passion for the game. So it was good that he rediscovered it. And speaking of which, Shawn joins me now live from his house in Edmonton. How's it going, Shawn?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thanks for being patient. Tom and Dietrich just wouldn't shut up.
Holy man, Tom's just making up story after story. Like, listen, I'm from Edmonton, and if you ever say that the Maple Leafs Athletic Club jerseys are nice, you're just lying to everybody.
Oh boy. So, Shawn, how is self-isolation going for you? It sounds like you're still busy, which is good, but how are you spending your time?
Well, things are good for me. Like right now, I'm working at OHA Academy, and unfortunately, we had to shut down all of our ice times, and kids aren't going to school anymore. So, what we've done is we've created a virtual academy. So all of our programming is via online. We usually use Zoom for that, and for 15 minutes a day, I have to talk to each and every kid on my team. So that takes up a lot of my time, and I'm definitely going to probably get more gray hair from talking to some of them.
Don't doubt, eh? I want to take back to our episode that we did just before Christmas, I believe, and got some really good stuff out of you, some really good insight on being a player in the NHL. But you also hold the record for going for 5 to 5 on the goal horn quiz.
Yeah, I do.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah,
listen to goal horns.
And it's not an easy one to accomplish. But it was great having you on the show and talking about it. In the clip we just watched, we talked about you rediscovering your passion for the game. Now coming out of it as a retired player and dealing with younger players. How has that passion translated over to the players that you're dealing with on a daily basis?
Well, I truly enjoy it. These kids, they keep you young. They like, they're like little sponges. They want to consistently learn. The minute they know that you've played hockey, they open up to you, and you kind of gain their trust right away. And every single time you step on the ice, they're kind of hovering around you. They want to talk to you about your history, what you've done, some of the guys that you've played with, against, and it's pretty fun to be able to work with the kids and just to be able to pass my knowledge along to them.
Awesome. Yeah, I would thinking back to when I was a junior player or even a midget or a bantam player, that would have been awesome to have someone to kind of learn the ropes from, for sure. So kind of going into present day here, how have you been occupying your time? Have you been watching anything?
Well, my fiance was watching Tiger King. I could only stomach one episode of that, so I had to shut it down. Because like the last couple of guys that have been on, they've talked about it being in Oklahoma City. So I actually did recognize some stuff too when I was watching, and I kind of just laughed at because being in Oklahoma City, what's going on there. It's a little bit backwards, but it's still a pretty nice place. So maybe I'll try to get those last few episodes in, but. I've been watching a lot of 30 for 30. I just watched the one on Michael Vick. What a crazy story that is.
Yeah.
It still is to this day.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's surreal to think that he went from such a superstar quarterback. All of a sudden he was in jail, and then just his rebound, the way he was able to reinvent himself, and the fact that he's continuing with that is very impressive. For him. And then actually earlier today, before we got on call, I was watching a story about Ben Johnson at the Olympics when he ran 9.79. So pretty cool stories, and trying to stay busy and stay in the sports world, because I kind of miss it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the crazy things about that Ben Johnson story, I don't know if they touched on it in the special, but I don't know if you remember that race and who won it, but I believe Carl Lewis won that one, right?
Yep.
And guess who tested positive for steroids after?
Weird.
Yeah, it's
right.
Yeah, so that's kind of a part in history people don't uh, want or choose to remember. Is like, yeah, when Ben Johnson was saying, "Well, everybody's doing it," he was right. Like everyone was doing it.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's just so many of those times, right? Like in sports, that a lot of those guys, it was acceptable behind the scenes, and
yep.
it's you can watch any sports documentary you want. You can go through all the different sports, and at some point there was always some kind of drug, steroid scandal that many groups, many teams, many players were doing. So it's not surprising being in the sporting world and then seeing that stuff, but it's funny the way that the general public takes it.
Yeah. Well, even Lance Armstrong, he obviously, I
Yeah,
can't remember what the doc on him is, but again, that's another sports one that is just, I guess because we've lived through that whole progression through him being an absolute champion and then his
yeah.
downfall of cheating. Yeah, great stories. Another, I don't know if you've seen Longest Shot or Long Shot on Netflix, but that's another good one.
I have not watched that one yet.
It's a short one. It's about 20 minutes, and it's about a guy in LA who gets arrested and accused of murder, and gets arrested, and his alibi is that he was at the Dodgers game. And I won't ruin it for you, but definitely watch it. But the way
Okay.
he gets vindicated and the way they prove that he was at the Dodgers game is just absolutely mind blowing. I won't ruin it for you, but I think it's called Long Shot. It's 20 minutes. Definitely check it out.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's head on to some stories here. We got some questions from the fans, and one I've been asking all my guests is a good road story. I'm sure you have some, especially being over in. I think we touched a little bit on some of them in when we looked at the photos of you
Yeah.
playing overseas. But is there any one story that kind of sticks out?
Well, I won't touch on my time here in North America, but I'll talk about Germany. So
For sure.
I know it was one of my first road trips. We were going down to Ingolstadt, which was about 2.5 hours away from Mannheim in the south, 30 minutes away from Munich. At the time we went down was Oktoberfest, and we finished the game. Our whole team was going to be staying overnight in Ingolstadt, and then going to Oktoberfest the next morning. And after the game, we won 4-2. Our coach is walking around the dressing room, and he's just kind of talking, and he's like, "Listen, guys that have never been to Oktoberfest, here's some advice." And he started kind of going through the list, and he got to one where he's like, "Okay, after about your fifth beer, so don't go outside." And some of the guys, because I think we had like 10 or 11 new guys at that time, were kind of like, "Oh, that's interesting. Like, why wouldn't you go outside?"
Right.
And he's just like, it's something about the air that just hits you. And when it hits you, you're in a world of hurt. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, that's fine. And so the next day we get on the train. It's a regional train. And every little stop for half an hour, was just jamming. The people are getting on and they were jamming the train. And honestly, I've never seen that many people get on a train before, but it was completely jammed. It almost seemed like the entire country had just stopped and everybody was going to Oktoberfest. And so we walk into this tent, which really it's not a tent. It's just a giant building with tables everywhere and stuff hanging from the roof. And we walk in through the doors, and I look to my right, and there's a guy that stands on one of the picnic tables, if you will. And he's got his stein that's completely full, and he puts it in his teeth, right? And then he stands up, and he pulls his arms open like this, and he chugs the entire stein without hands. And I look to my teammates, and I'm like, oh my, this is how we're going to go. So I'm now nervous. I'm like, hey, I don't even know what I'm about to get myself into. Like,
Yeah.
these beers for Oktoberfest they're big. They're a liter each.
Wow.
And so we go sit down as a team, and we decide to play a game because, all athletes think they're invincible. And it was your first sip. You have to drink so much that when you tilt the stein over onto its handle, no beer can come out the top.
Okay.
If it splashes over, you have to buy the next round.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like unsuspecting victims, all of us North American guys start doing that. And, before we know it, we're 4 liters, 5 liters in. 6 liters in because we're just having a good time. There's people dancing, and just it's a sight to behold, and it's a bucket list for sure.
Wow.
So anyway, I'm now feeling it because it's, 6 liters is a lot even for a guy my size. And I go to the bathroom, I come back, and I'm like, I need to get some air. And I remember his.
Oh, we may have lost you, Shawn. Well, so far in this live stream to have our first technical glitch with Shawn Belle. Well, I'll see if I can get Shawn to get back on to finish up his story. But one of my previous guests is Mike Penhollow of the Boston Bruins, and he wasn't able to make it on the show today. He's got a lot going on Boston on the East Coast, but we talk about Boston accents and how one guy can do it really well and the other guy, or this guy, can't do it really well. So let's throw to that, and I'll see if I can get Shawn Belle back on the line here. Last photo, I remember watching this game actually.
Oh, Conor McGregor.
But when you were in the corner, the broadcast camera kept panning to Conor, and you were always there. So someone snagged a photo of you and Conor.
Yeah, Steve Babineau took that photo.
Oh, Babs. I know Babs.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Steve and Brian. Yeah,
Steve and Brian. Yeah.
So he looks like he's got a righty and a lefty there. What's he doing with the sticks?
So those sticks he picked up, there was a youth game that was going on before. So like all the sticks are like lined up with their hockey bags and everything. And then Conor spotted him and he's like, oh, I need some sticks. So he's like, yeah, he's just grabbing them. He's like banging them through like the thing, and just getting like fans riled up. And like it was really cool because he was just embracing the moment. And it was definitely one of the cooler things. And like it was an adrenaline rush. Like that game flew by.
It was pretty. Did he see the celly? Like, did he actually see it in person, or did you see that?
So you'd have to ask him exactly.
Okay.
But you can have him on next episode, maybe.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Notorious.
When you're in Edmonton next, come on over.
Come on over. Honestly, yeah, he'd probably love to be on your show. That guy, he's a man of the people. Like,
how has your Boston accent progressed?
Oh, it's pretty good.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hit me with some Boston.
My favorite line is always, "Hey, how are ya?"
That's pretty good.
No, like everyone just says, "Hey, how are ya?" And every time, and I'm just like, I love it, and I'll just say, I'll be, "Hey, how are ya?" Well, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I'll be in China, I'll be in Prague, I'll be in Dublin, I'll be wherever.
Yeah.
And I'll just hit him with a "Hey, how are ya?" I think it's my favorite Boston expression.
Yeah.
And it's not even an expression; it's just a normal thing.
Yeah.
Any other words you want me to say?
Some dunks. There's got to be some dunks references.
So I was over at Dunkin' the other day. I was there with my buddy Charlie. Charlie's like, "Hey, you should get one of these." And I'm like, "I don't need one of those, kid." And he's like, "Yeah, you do." And I said, "All right." So I drank the coffee and we moved on. That's all we did. All right. I don't know if that's Boston or what that is.
Oh, wow.
But it was fun. I had fun doing that.
Yeah, that was good. I tried some Boston slang at the end of my episode on TD Garden. Link down below.
It's TD Garden.
TD Garden.
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 It's garden.
Garden?
Garden.
Like you're saying God? Garden?
God.
God?
God.
Garden? The garden?
That was really good. Do it again.
The garden?
That's
the garden?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't know.
No,
I'm really horrible.
I like that one.
But I tried some slang on
Vote
on
here to see who had the better Boston accent.
The garden.
The garden.
The garden.
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 You gotta say it right. Garden. It's
garden.
Right here. Garden.
Garden.
Like you're squeezing your
garden.
Yeah, squeeze a little.
Garden.
That's terrible.
All right, let's just jump into it. All right, Shawn, we lost you for a second, but we got you back online.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
That's all right. Let's continue on. You were talking about being nervous, and I think you're about to step outside.
Okay, so yeah, I had gone to the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, I need to go outside. So finally, I walk out of the doors, and there's this massive hill, and there's people kind of laying there, kind of just hanging out. And so I'm like, okay, I just need to get some sleep. I'm going to pass out maybe. Like, I just need to shake this off because I'm not feeling very well. So I kind of go off into like the bushes, and I'm laying there. I make myself a little bed, and I set my alarm because I know that I need to get up and I need to shake the cobwebs free and get back in and continue partying. So I end up, passing out, and I get woken up by the cops. And the cops have got their nightsticks out, and they're kind of poking me to see if I'm alive. And I wake up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm alive. My alarm's going off, and I brush myself off, and I end up going back inside the party. And, the time frame that I was gone was basically an hour. And the difference that I saw my teammates in from where I left to rejoin the party was on a completely different level. It looked like there were souls gone. There's empty looks. So I'm walking around, and one of my teammates, finds me. He's like, Bellsy, where have you been? Like, we've needed you for this whole time. And, he's like, we got problems. And I'm like, what's going on? And, we ended up meeting up with another team, which was Augsburg, and I actually had a couple buddies that I played with in Tri-City. And he's like, I don't like this one guy on their team, and I'm mad, and he wants to fight me. And he's like, come with me. And I'm like, I don't want to go over there to fight another hockey team, let alone players that I know.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you're coming with me. And so I'm like, whatever. So I'm just going to go talk to my buddies. And I end up walking over, and I see my buddies, and I start chatting. And as we're chatting, because his wife was there too, and we're chatting, and all of a sudden I see, like, out of the corner of my eye, one of my teammates running across a table and jumps with his arm to a pile of players, which was basically like a scrum like you would see not in like any other game, and just tackles everybody. And I'm like, this is outrageous. Like, guys, like, let's just enough. Everybody's been drinking. So we kind of break this whole thing up.
Yeah.
And, we're kind of back to normal. We're laughing, having a good time. And it's time to catch the train. And we got to catch the train to get back to Mannheim. And it's a 2.5 hour trip.
Oh, wow.
And we get outside, and we're running towards the train station. And I remember looking back, and then all of a sudden, one of our players, Dennis Seidenberg's brother Yannick, he's all of a sudden in a fight. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, why are we doing this right now? So I'm like, Yanni, we got to go. And all of a sudden, cops come flying over, and they tackle Yannick Seidenberg.
Oh, no.
And Yannick is like, he's losing his mind, and him and the cop stand up, and they look at each other, and he's like, Seidenberg? And he's like, hey, what's up? And they both start laughing and having a great time. And also he's like, hey, get to your train, get to your train.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, so we end up getting to our train, and it was a mess. And there was 2 or 3 guys that ended up missing the train. They had to take cabs back from Munich to Mannheim, which is like 500 euros. It was one of the funniest trips like I've ever been on in my entire life.
Wow. Well, tonight we've had Mark Messier speakeasies in New York. We've had record-breaking tornadoes in OKC. And then we got massive brawls trying to catch trains in Europe, and then the cop recognizes them like...
Yeah, it's a different world out there, that's for sure.
That's awesome. Hey, man, before I lose you again, just want to say, hey, thanks for coming on the show this year. It was a blast having you coming in the studio, and to be honest, you told some great stories. Had a lot of feedback on players, using your stories as an example of playing in Europe and expanding your mind in terms of like where you can end up playing hockey. So I think that obviously a lot of players that you deal with are NHL mindseted, and hearing stories like that leave some options out there for players that the dream doesn't have to live and die at the NHL. You can give it a shot, but if it doesn't work, you can expand your experience, go overseas, and have life-changing experiences like getting in a massive bar brawl in Europe.
Passing out on a hill in Europe and trying to catch a train. Yeah, with language you don't understand.
Yeah. Oh God.
Exactly.
But yeah. Hey Matt, thanks again for joining, being very patient, and joining me on my kind of season finale here.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.